There's a health crisis happening right now all around the world, but it's unfolding almost completely in silence. And we're not talking about some new headline-grabbing virus. No, this one's been with us for a long, long time, quietly becoming one of the deadliest infectious diseases out there. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the hepatitis B virus. So let's start with a number. 254 million. That's how many people right now are living with a chronic, lifelong hepatitis B infection. Just to wrap your head around that, that is more than the entire population of Brazil. It's just this massive hidden pandemic that touches literally every corner of the globe. And the cost? The human cost is just devastating. 1.3 million. That's how many people died from Hep B and its complications in 2022. 1 year. And here's the really scary part. According to the latest data from the World Health Organization, that number, it's actually going up. Okay, let's break that down even further to really feel the weight of it. Every single day, 3,500 people die from this virus. Think about that. That's more than 2 people every minute of every day. And the real tragedy? This is a disease we can prevent and we can manage. And if you're still not convinced of the scale of this, listen to this. The World Health Organization just this year said hepatitis is the second deadliest communicable disease. Second deadliest. That puts it right up there with tuberculosis. And in 2022, only COVID-19 killed more people. So yeah, this isn't some minor problem. It's a top-tier global threat. Okay, so let's get into the why. Why is this thing called the silent killer? Well, it's pretty straightforward and pretty terrifying. For most people, the virus doesn't cause any symptoms for decades. All the while, it's just silently, relentlessly attacking one of your most vital organs. So you gotta understand, the virus comes in 2 flavors. There's the acute infection, which is short-term, less than 6 months. And if you're a healthy adult, your body's pretty good at handling it. Over 90% of adults will fight it off, no problem. But, and this is the really tragic part, the risk of it becoming a chronic, lifelong problem depends almost entirely on how old you are when you get it. If an infant is infected at birth, there's a 90% chance it becomes chronic. That, right there, that's the engine driving this whole pandemic. All right, so let's switch gears. We've been looking at the big picture, the global scale. Now let's zoom way, way in, down to the microscopic level. How does this thing even spread? And why is it so ridiculously hard to get rid of once it's in your body? So hepatitis B spreads through infected blood or other body fluids. And yeah, things like unprotected sex or sharing needles are definitely ways it's transmitted. But the #1 way globally, it's from an infected mother to her baby during childbirth. And that's how the cycle continues, seeding the next generation with this chronic disease. So why can't we just cure it? Well, it all comes down to this one really tricky thing called cccDNA, covalently closed circular DNA. It's a mouthful, I know, but basically, once the virus gets into your liver cells, it builds this little fortress, a mini viral command center, right inside the nucleus of your own cells. And this thing is tough. It's super stable, and it just sits there like a permanent blueprint, churning out new viruses. So even when treatments beat the virus back, this little command center, the cccDNA, it just lies dormant, waiting, ready to fire back up at any moment. And with that permanent factory setup inside you, the stage is set for a decades-long war on your liver. And the consequences, well, they're just devastating. Imagine this. For years, maybe even decades, your immune system is in a constant battle with this virus inside your liver. This never-ending fight causes chronic inflammation. Over time, that constant battle scars the liver. That's what cirrhosis is. And as more and more healthy liver tissue gets replaced by useless scar tissue, the organ just starts to fail. And for way too many people, this whole terrible process ends up leading to one of the deadliest cancers there is. Get this, between 50 and 80%, let me say that again, 50 to 80% of all primary liver cancer cases in the entire world are caused by chronic hepatitis B. It is, without a doubt, the single biggest risk factor for this awful disease. So, how on earth does a virus become a carcinogen? How does it cause cancer? Well, remember that constant inflammation we talked about? It forces your liver cells into this endless cycle of damage and repair. Damage, repair, damage, repair. And every single time a cell has to divide to make repairs, there's a tiny chance for a mistake, a genetic mutation. And over decades of this, those mistakes can add up. Eventually, one of those mutations can be the one that turns a cell cancerous. and it just starts growing completely out of control. Okay, so this has all been pretty grim. But this story isn't just about devastation. It actually has a hero. Because back in the 1980s, science gave us one of the greatest gifts in the history of public health, a way to stop this virus dead in its tracks before it can even get started. Just look at this. This is some amazing data out of Taiwan. Before they started a universal vaccination program back in the 80s, almost 20% of kids had chronic hepatitis B. 20%. Then they started the program, and after just one generation, that number plummeted to less than 1%. I mean, come on, that is a real-world knockout punch showing just how powerful this vaccine is. And just how good is it? When it's given the right way, especially with that crucial first dose right at birth, the hepatitis B vaccine is over 95% effective. 95%. It prevents a newborn from ever getting a lifelong chronic infection. It is truly a modern medical marvel. Okay, so this is where things get really frustrating. This is the great paradox of hepatitis B. We have a vaccine that's basically a silver bullet for prevention. We have effective treatments that can manage the virus for people who are already infected. So why is the death toll still going up? Well, take a look at this. Out of all those 254 million people living with chronic Hep B, only about 13% even know they have it. They've never been diagnosed. And it gets worse. Of that small group that is diagnosed, less than 3% are actually getting the life-saving treatment they need. The huge, silent majority of this pandemic is just completely hidden and totally untreated. So, the World Health Organization, they see this. They've set some really ambitious goals for 2030. Things like slashing new infections and deaths and massively boosting the number of people who get diagnosed and treated. If we could actually hit these targets, we would save millions of lives. It's that simple. And that leaves us right here with this just staggering reality. The fight against hepatitis B isn't really a scientific battle anymore. We've won that. Now it's a battle of awareness, of access, of political will. We're fighting stigma and a lack of funding to just get the tools we already have to the people who need them. The science gave us the answer decades ago. The real question now is, are we going to use it?